This is Ed Schultz, news and commentary from the nation's capital on this Monday edition. The news on RT America, the news with Ed Schultz, starts tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. Hope you can join us on Dish and Direct, also on YouTube and on the website, rtamerica.com. All right. The poll numbers are very close. This is the best lead that Bernie's had in Iowa, 51-43 over Clinton. The CBS Battleground Tracker has a 1-point lead for Sanders, 47-46. Martin O'Malley has moved up to 5%. Sanders maintains his wide lead in New Hampshire, 57-38, according to the poll, while Clinton still commands a strong advantage, 60-38 in South Carolina. There's so much work going on around the country, in Nevada, in California, and in Texas. There was a big meeting of labor leaders yesterday over the weekend in Texas where there was a debate. Larry Cohen was speaking on behalf of the Sanders campaign, and he joins us. Mr. Cohen, good to have you on again.
My pleasure.
What did you see in Texas? What are folks saying?
That's amazing. First of all, the level of support, 30,000 Bernie Sanders volunteers now in Texas. That's just volunteers. Saturday night, for the live stream, I was in downtown Austin, outside 1,000 people on a big screen cheering Bernie. And as we know from reports, that kind of thing went on all over the country. Marches in Boston in the snow, over 1,000 people marching in Portland, Oregon. This is for a live stream. What I saw, the main event I went there for was the Texas AFL-CIO had their political meeting. There were about 300 labor leaders from around Texas, and I represented Bernie in a debate there. And incredible enthusiasm. Again, what I saw was it didn't matter what national unions had done or hadn't done. These leaders in Texas were fired up, not all of them, but overwhelmingly for Bernie, and working. I also did a meeting with CWAers, my own union, and, the CWAers who were there for that meeting, about 70 of them, and the work that we're doing. We have boot camps going on in Dallas, the next 3 days, training several hundred just CWAers. Here's a state that nobody thought there would even be a Sanders campaign, and I believe we're going to do incredibly well. It's the fusion that we all talk about, and I saw it. Black, Latino, white working people, youth, fired up and ready to work for Bernie across Texas, which is quite something.
I did a town hall, I did a focus group a couple of years ago. About a year and a half ago, I did a focus group in Texas. And all walks of life, we worked hard on getting people in there that would represent every sect of society, demographic and whatnot. They felt to a T across the board that Texas, if they had voter registration the way they have in other parts of the country, that it would be a blue state. That it's only a matter of time when it comes to the diversity of the electorate and also the demographics. And there's been such an effort to suppress the vote in Texas. That's one of the things that the progressive movement has had to face. Hopefully Bernie's campaign can instill some steroids into that effort when it comes to voter registration and getting people out doing what they got to do. Interestingly enough, the Sanders campaign somewhat concerned about, do people understand the caucus because there's so many new people coming into the process? Do they know how to caucus? So the Sanders team has put together a video on the website explaining to people, quote, how to do this. And it's going to be interesting to see if it's effective. They can't do it unless they show up. And the show up is going to be very, very important because there's going to be people who are going to be there that are going to direct Sanders supporters on how to do this as they do it. But this is really going to be the key, the turnout in every single county in Iowa. And the narrative that's out there that I saw yesterday on one of the talking heads was that Bernie's out of the mainstream. I about went nuts when I saw it. I even did a give me a minute and put it on my Facebook. It had over 140,000 views. What do you mean Bernie's out of the mainstream? I want you to respond to that, Mr. Cohen. When you hear Bernie's out of the mainstream, it's almost as if you have to gather yourself to come back and straighten these people out. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think his message actually has become the mainstream for millions and millions of Americans. More than 4 million now have signed up in some way on one of our websites. And the message of, why does Medicare begin at 65? Why can't it be earlier so that all of us have a simple way to look at health care, at least as a floor for our health care? Why can't we, again, have free higher education at public universities? People forget, and I talked to that crowd, the 1,000 mostly young people in Boston Saturday night about that. When I grew up, Philadelphia Community College had no tuition. More importantly, Berkeley, University of California, the whole system had no tuition. City University of New York, gigantic again, no tuition. Rutgers, where I ended up, almost no tuition. So why was that okay for my generation or my father's generation? Comes back from World War II, GI Bill, no tuition. These aren't radical ideas. These are things we've given up on. And I think, people are saying, wait a minute, what is the American dream? Why would we give up on health care? Why would we give up on higher education and early childhood education? We shouldn't be giving up on those things. And why have we turned this country over to the banks? And why do we have banks that are clearly too big to fail all over again, worse than ever? And so we need to break them up. People are getting this simple, populist, economic message. And also on foreign policy, regime change has not worked. And we need to take a new look. And so when Secretary Clinton, as we call her, talks about her experience, increasingly voters are saying, we don't want coups to take out an elected government in Honduras. We don't want another war in Iraq that she voted for. So, I think the experience she has is a continuity that people want to change. And that's why we're seeing a new mainstream message that's about much more about hope and promise.
Mr. Cohen, what do you think of the Bloomberg conversation, him jumping in as an independent? I'm not quite sure how I understand how he would win any states or how the math would work, but what do you make of it?
I don't see how he wins any states either, so at the end of the day, he's not, he's a pretty smart guy. I don't agree with him on too much. If there was a three-way race with two billionaires and Bernie wins easily. That's what I make of that one. But my hunch is Bloomberg will figure that out too. I think he wants to be president. He wants to be, they never give up on power. It's not enough that he has something like $10 billion. But where does he find his space to come in? People are not going to perceive Michael Bloomberg as, the candidate of middle-class and working-class America.
All right. I know you're going to be in Iowa before and during the caucus. We'll connect there. I'm going to be in Iowa this weekend doing some work down there for RT on the News with Ed Schultz, which we're going to have a number of stories on. So we will connect again. Larry Cohen, great to have you with us.
All the best on RT. Look forward to that. Bye-bye.
Thank you, my man.